My name is Moon Petrie. It is the 5th of Pantstober, and I'm really excited about today's topic. The usual disclaimer applies. These are not instructions. This is an idea buffet. I don't know what I'm talking about, but feel free to listen if you want to. So I do a tiny bit know what I'm talking about when it comes to names because I have 4 kids, so I've done more naming than the average person probably has. And some of the techniques that I have used with my actual children are things that I would recommend for your fictional children. But first and foremost, I like to make sure that when I am drafting, I have a list ready, sometimes multiple lists of names, so that when I get to a point where I need to name a character, I can grab something off a list instead of using my dearly beloved brackets or having to stop and do research and get actually derailed. So, a few things that I like to do. One, I get confused when I'm reading if there are too many characters with the same first letter or with rhyming names. So, what I tend to do is make a list by letter and just put one name for each letter. I love to use the Social Security Administration website. Now, if you are American, your data has been stored. If you Google SSA baby names, or I will leave a link to it below, you can find the top 1,000 names given to boys or given to girls any year since 1889. Or you can look at a specific name to see the graph of popularity of that name, provided it was ever within the top 1,000 names. So this is great if you are writing relatively recent historical fiction, or if you are trying to come up with believable generational names. So one thing that I have done on a couple of different projects is have a list of parent names that I can draw from to be adults in the story who were born in the 70s or early 80s. That would be the parents of the teenagers that I'm writing about. And then a list of teenager or kid names drawn from the more recent years of popularity. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't use your imagination or that you should just draw from the top names, because obviously we've all known a lot of people who have quirkier names, but you might not want to give the name Michaela to someone born in the 50s because that would have been strikingly out of place. And you might not want to name an 8-year-old Beverly. But, I feel like Beverly is gonna come back. I feel like my kids are gonna know kids named Beverly. We'll see. This is also an opportunity for wish fulfillment. My husband would never let me name any of our children Roscoe. He thought it was a terrible name. I thought it was so cute. So I used it on a character. The other thing your characters may need is surnames. I find that I am inclined, when left to my own devices, to draw from a surname pool of ethnicities that would be familiar to me and easy to find. In Vermont, we have a lot of French Canadians here, among other things. And so it's not a representative sample, and I would leave things out. We don't have a significant Latinx population, for example. So I like to try to draw from lists, again, alphabetical, of surnames that are from a broader variety of languages, cultures, and ethnicities. I will leave the resource below that I like to use for this, but just a thing to keep in mind. And also I do a list of one for each letter so that when I need one, I can grab one without worrying that I'm going to be duplicating or making things too similar. When it comes to fantasy, science fiction, you may approach naming in a totally different way, and for that I say have at it, have fun. I have one book where there are 2 different cultures, and one of them has a naming tradition where all of the people are named after plants, and the other culture has a naming tradition where all the people are named for stones and minerals and metals. So you can think about the naming traditions in your fictional culture. You may also want to consider naming traditions of actual cultures or of specific families that you can make up if you're writing something more contemporary. Until next time, tomorrow, I am Moon Petrie, and I hope you have fun naming your fictional babies.